Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I'm doing these live today. Yeah, it looks good. I'm doing these live today. I'm just trying something new. I'm thinking about potentially doing a show during the course of the week in addition to Wednesdays, kind of like a weekly update or something like that. My wife suggested I do a show purely for Patreon users. It's like not just for Patreon, but allow the patrons to call in, and I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. This particular topic, though, I deem to be immensely serious. Coming from someone who says most of this stuff doesn't matter, I think this matters. I think this matters a great deal. My response to Charlottesville, some people hated that response. And part of the reason people hated the response is because people have, particularly on the left, this understanding of don't tread on my liberties. Like, yes, those groups are out there saying they hate at this point. Well, we're taking the opposite stance. And we consider that particular stance to be just morally bankrupt and morally wrong because that stance deals with the oppression of somebody else and the curtailing of somebody else's liberties. So it's not crazy for leftists to have some feelings about it. It's not crazy for just the decent people to have some feelings about a bunch of Nazis rummaging through your city. I understand the response. I understand the feeling. I understand this idea of, okay, I need to intervene. I want to intervene. How do we intervene? How do we do something to be a bulwark? A, to show the world that, look, this is not who we are. And B, because there's something in us that wants to be a bulwark. We want to show our presence. We want to stand strong. Now, standing strong thing is purely in your head. That doesn't exist anywhere else. That's just in your head. You believe that you're standing strong, so you go out there and you stand strong. As for the rest of the world, nobody else would have known Charlottesville existed. My thing on this has nothing to do with the Nazis. It has zero to do with the Nazis. Those guys could have been flat earthers for all I cared. It's just the right to do it. That's it. It's just the fundamental idea, this idea of liberty of, yes, if we want to express our grievances, we can express our grievances. Even if the rest of society believes those grievances are atrocious. Now, in our case, say for instance, you're going back to the Cold War. And you have people who were somewhat leftist. And those people were being persecuted for their beliefs, for their ideas. Now, no, a leftist is not the same thing as a Nazi. And yes, there's a moral difference in those things. I'm making the point that the way society can come down on somebody, it's troubling. And this idea of alleviating myself of this right or of this liberty just because a bunch of Nazis want to march every so often, I'm not having it. Because it's a slippery slope. Who sets the rules on what's fascist, on what's biased, on what's a terrorist? Your government says you're a terrorist, lock them up, and they drag you into a black site. Those things are the same. Your ability to get up and get across your grievance, whether that grievance is noble or whether that grievance is absurd, doesn't matter. You have the right to do it. There are times that people will say things in society that society doesn't want to hear, but society needs to hear. No, this is not what society needs to hear in this particular case, but I'm not burning through that right just for a bunch of Nazis. Let's take it to another step. That doesn't just go to physical, meaning that doesn't just go to rights of free speech in regards to people protesting, people counter-protesting, people finding other ways to get across their grievances and bitch, people bugging the shit out of their politician who's not doing things for them. It goes beyond that. Digital space. We as human beings have done something fucking amazing. With all this human creativity and potential, we've created another reality. A digital space. Many people go into that digital space and make a living off that digital space. You have a lot of people who go for pleasure, go to get their rocks off, whatever. But the majority of the world has a cyber life at this point. What, 7 billion people on the planet, and the overwhelming majority has a cyber life. what constitutes your reality? And I'm not talking about your cyber life or your just outside. I'm just saying your reality, your personal reality, what you believe the world to be, what your neighbor believes the world to be, what his neighbor, his whoever, just random person, throw a rock. The things that you see and hear. It's not just Bob and Tom that you meet at work. It's the information that you receive from the sources that you receive it. News, media, online. Your mainstream media is controlled by 6 companies. Do you believe that those 6 companies who have stocks and interests in all sorts of other countries, be it military, be it cosmetic, whatever, do you think they're going to run stories and information that would adversely affect their other businesses? Think about it. The goal is to maximize your profit. Is it maximizing your profit if one of the companies comes out and says, hey, this food is giving people cancer? This food is giving people whatever. This particular product is not what they say it is. If the media was actual media and it was somewhat of a watchdog and it was somewhat of a pit bull, it would adversely affect the profits of the people who own the media. Those owners are not going to allow that particular media to do anything to rock the boat. They will be out on their ass. And that's not some kind of conspiracy theory, it's just common sense. My job is to maximize my profit. I'm a media organization. I have other interests. I'm not going to do anything to adversely affect my other interests. So yes, this media is going to be bland and it's going to be this kind of corporate, shallow media. That's what you get. You don't get real news. You get narratives. You get the narratives that they themselves want you to get. On the second part, you have the internet. Now, the internet has been amazing. Like I said before, you have these people coming together and creating this alternate reality space for people to interact, to share ideas, to communicate. And in this digital space, this wild frontier is being corralled. So you have Google, who owns a massive stake in search engine. So you go into a page, hey, Google it. You type it in, Google gives you information, it gives you an answer. Now, the overwhelming majority of the people use Google. It's become somewhat of a monolithic organization. Even the term Google it comes natural. They're expanding into other areas, meaning of corporate interests, but let's talk about the digital space for a bit. Google has taken upon itself to curb content. So in the same way you have this bland narrative that goes on in the corporate media that doesn't really do anything to address the issues that affect the country because it's not going to rock the boat. It has interest in the political circles and has interest in their own corporate circles. So yeah, they're going to keep things the way it is. They're going to attack things that go against their narrative. They're going to be for things that toe the line. And when I'm saying narrative, I mean, what's mainstream? Like, if you've noticed, mainstream media would create a narrative. The narrative doesn't have to be true. Somebody writes an article. Is the article true? Who the fuck knows? They write an article. People read that article. You get a lot of people reading it. You create a narrative. You create a mainstream thing. That's just what somebody wrote. Just what somebody said. People take those things to be true and take them as their understanding and idea of reality. It doesn't become ambiguous to them anymore. It's a fixed thing. I'm saying this idea of media shaping the world. But now Google is taking it upon itself to shape the digital space. So their search algorithm, for the most part, is giving you information. Is it accurate information? Is it information you need? Or is it information that Google wants you to have? And therein lies the problem. Now Google has started to corral data and information. So YouTube, which was amazing in regards to having all these different voices and content. Yes, you have some people who are nuts and off their ass. But you also have some people who are just fucking amazing at what they do. Those people get demonetized. Those videos, for the most part, and I understand why they're getting demonetized. It's somewhat of a ridiculous reason, but those videos are getting demonetized. In some cases, those videos are being taken down. On Facebook, Facebook is doing something similar where they're purging certain content. Google has even gone so far as to, if I'm not mistaken, eliminate people from the search, meaning it's harder to find certain sites. This is pretty amazing. It's not enough that content is out there. Google is making a determination. yeah, we don't want you to see that. Do you full well trust that Google has your best interest in heart? And would you rather be the person who makes the determination on what the information you're getting, or do you want Google to do it? The problem is trust. You're going to get wackos. In the same way you're going to get Klansmen and Nazis every so often protesting, and you will get wackos. That's just part of the spectrum of anything that you do. But if you're really willing to give up the bright spots, the spots that may need to be said but does not necessarily believed, like this idea that Google is making this determination on what's true, is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I don't trust Google to do that. I don't want Google to do that. If there's some information I want to know, Google can mind its goddamn business. And I saw Stephen Greer. Stephen Greer is a UFO guy. He's full of himself. Don't get me wrong. He can be full of himself, full of bluster. And he says amazing things that, beyond the things he says, though, Stephen Greer is one of those rare people who actually have a bunch of military people backing him up, saying, yes, I was there, I saw XYZ. Now, whatever you may say of him, his sources are relatively solid. I mean, not all this stuff. Some of the stuff gets out there, but I'm just saying, from the bare bones, nuts and bolts, I saw X. They took his site down. They took his site down. Now, some of the stuff is probably going to be put under, well, hey, we didn't like the content. We thought you were saying something that wasn't true. We thought this was out. Whatever the reason doesn't matter. Shouldn't he have the right to say whatever the hell he's going to say? And shouldn't it be up for the determination of the people who's watching to make the determination of whether they want to see it? He's not attacking anybody. He's not brutalizing anybody. And this is not just about Stephen Greer. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a video with Tim Black saying his was demonetized. You saw the thing before with all those other lefties and libs. There were demonetized videos. Demonetization is somewhat of a way of also curtailing speech. We don't want you to talk about these topics, so you're not going to get money for these topics. Now, I understand the corporate reason for it, that there is no firewall in that sense. If something, nobody wants their commercials on, bad products, so I understand it. But let's not pretend that, you know, not paying people for the content that they put out for your particular product is, you know, that is somewhat a way of trying to disincentivize somebody for doing something. I'm more concerned with the search engine thing, though. That's the thing that bothers me more than anything else. And Facebook's doing the same thing. We at Facebook and Google know what's best for you to see. We know what's best for you to read. And we're going to make the determination of what you yourself should see. We're going to shape your reality in a digital space. Google has gotten to the point where it's becoming a monopoly. And like all monopolies, governments should abhor monopolies. If it's to the point where the information that's coming to you is from somewhat of a singular source, and that singular source is a built-in bias to show you certain information based upon whatever the hell search engine logic that it has decided, that's a problem. We don't allow monopolies in other capacities while we're allowing monopolies in search engines. Google should be broken up. Google should be broken to bits. And when I say broken to bits, I'm not necessarily saying destroyed. I don't mean it in that way. I'm saying it's gotten too big for its own britches, too big for its own good. It's become somewhat of a public entity of that sort. And I know it's not a public entity, it's a private entity. I'm just saying, for the number of people who use it, how important it is in daily life. It's a problematic thing for something like that to make the decisions on what you yourself should see. Google knows best. Do you trust Google to know best for you? Or would you prefer just to get the bunch of information so you can get the bunch of different viewpoints? You're going to get loonies. That's fine. I'm not willing to give up the good bright spots, the interesting information, the information that may actually be true. It may be fucking amazing. Just because of the lunatics. So, whatever the hell Google and Facebook and some of these places are doing, they're fucking up royally. And, yeah, they're fucking up royally. I'll leave it at that. Fascism is fascism, man. And we use the word wrong, but I'm using the term in the way people use it, in the sense of saying this kind of regimented, we know what's right, do X, and we're going to be the standard bearer. We're going to make the determination of what you yourself should see and what reality you yourself should get. You have a mainstream media for the most part. 6 media companies. And now you have Google and Facebook. 2 more added to the list. And 2 more that's decided. We know what's best. So I'll leave it at that. Google needs to be weakened. It needs to be broken. It needs to be more. You have to have actual alternatives. Like, it's a problem, man. When I saw the Stephen Greer thing, I was like, how is it's one thing to say I don't like particular content. It's another thing to take it down. What else? Would challenging a narrative of 9/11 be taken down because Google disagrees with it? Will Google shun people away from those sites because Google disagrees with it? What about this thing of Seth Rich? Will Google send people away from it? What about the thing with WikiLeaks? Will Google have sent people away from it? Hey, don't look at this. It was Russia that hacked them. I don't trust this. I don't trust Google. Nobody should trust Google. This don't be evil thing, they can kiss my ass. They're making the determination of what people should see. They're trying to shape realities. That's not the point of the internet, and that's not Google's job. I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the work through Patreon. I like the live streams. They just run longer. Like, I get into this habit of fucking up or going too far into it. Sometimes I would do a video and then redo a video and then redo a video where I'm condensing what I'm saying. Live streams tend to be a little bit longer. All right, I'll leave it at that. Have a good one, guys.